Hello, welcome to another edition of Jazz Smack, where tonight the Utah Jazz hosted the Atlanta Hawks in the Delta Center, and Lauri Markkanen, another exceptional game shooting the basketball. Let's talk about it.
Jazz Smack, NBA and Utah Jazz basketball.
Now let's just start off with Lauri Markkanen, once again, is shooting the ball so well. I mean, tonight was just another example of a phenomenal start to this season for Lauri. I mean, he came off of a great appearance, a great outing with that Finnish national team, and he played great in those Eurobasket games. And he came into this season just on fire, and it has continued. And he's certainly in line to make another All-Star game, and that is a fantastic thing for Lauri Markkanen and the Utah Jazz. Tonight was just another stellar night for Lauri. I mean, the shooting is just off the charts great. Tonight, he shoots 15 for 25 from the field overall, 6 for 12 from 3, 4 for 4 from a free throw line. He scores 40 points in total. I think he had 25 in that first half. I mean, just awesome play by Lauri Markkanen, especially on the offensive end of the court. Just absolutely tremendous. Now, we hope that Lauri's numbers continue this way through the end of the season, and he's able to get that all-star nod again. And unless there's an injury, I don't see any reason why his numbers still shouldn't continue on as they are right now. I mean, he's averaging 29.3 points per game right now on really good shooting percentages. I mean, it's just phenomenal. Absolutely terrific. So that's Lauri, and he had a wonderful game tonight. Now, the Jazz, as a team, overall, this was a mighty strange game. And there are some really crazy numbers associated with this game. The Atlanta Hawks, in that first half, they score 80 points. 80 points. And I was listening to the Atlanta Hawks broadcast team, Dominique Wilkins and another guy. And we all know Dominique's history at the Jazz with the whole draft thing, and then he becomes a Hall of Fame player and all of that. But Dominique's been a long time broadcaster for the Atlanta Hawks, and that duo, they kept on saying, throughout the game, they kept on expressing the sentiment this is the best, this portion of this certain thing, this is the best the team has ever done, and this player has never done this before, and that player has never done this before. And they kept on saying that. It was expressed throughout the game. And it wasn't just one thing, it was several things. So from that standpoint, the Jazz defense, especially in that first half, where they allowed one of those items that the Atlanta Hawks, their franchise record for three-pointers in a half was either 15 or 16. I think the Atlanta Hawks finished that first half with 15 threes on very good shooting percentages. So that is a crazy number. 15 threes in a half by a team is an absolutely nutty number. And the field goal percentage as well was absolutely crazy. So the Jazz defense had substantial struggles from the get-go. They struggled overall. They were having a hard time closing out on threes. I mean, they were just having a difficult time getting hands in guys' faces. Now, it wasn't all the players, but it wasn't also just one player. Just as a team, the team struggled. So I'm not just trying to hang this on one guy or even two guys. As a team, they struggled. Now, the center for the Atlanta Hawks, in this game, he went 8 for 14 on threes. And he had a lot of open looks. And we all know we are missing Walker, who is our defensive anchor. And Walker is more equipped to get out and hound somebody on the perimeter, even though Walker isn't exceptional in that area. He's certainly better than Nurk. Nurk struggles to get from the paint out to the perimeter to contest shots. And that was evident in their center going 8 for 14 from 3. And that's probably the most threes he's ever going to make in a game, because I guarantee he's never made 8 threes in a game up to this point. And I'd say there's a reasonable chance he never makes 8 threes in a game again in his NBA career. That is just a very large number. 14 three-point attempts for a center is a huge number. Making 8 of them is an exceptional number, and he's not the only one. The Atlanta Hawks power forward went 4 for 5 from three-point range in the game. So between those two guys, the starting center and starting power forward, they shot 12 for 19 from 3 for the game. That's a problem. And the Atlanta Hawks, in this game, they made 24 of 47 threes, 46 from 490 from the field overall. So again, that first half, 80 points the Jazz allowed. The second half, they fought back in it. They climbed back in it, and this is one of the things that we've kind of seen from the team to this point. They've had some fight, and they did fight. They made this game competitive. They took it down to the end. They got ahead in that second half. They took the lead, but it was competitive down to the very end. And all those possessions down the stretch, they all mattered. And that's really what you want to see for the Jazz from a learning experience. You want those possessions to matter. You don't want hollow possessions. You don't want to face a bunch of possessions that don't matter, that turn into quote-unquote garbage time. You don't want that. So in this game, the game was contested all the way to the very end. And that means a better learning experience for those young guys. It means maximizing the learning experience for all the young guys trying to get better, where they're playing in a competitive environment, something that actually matters. That is extraordinarily helpful for, putting all those guys in a situation where they can improve. So from that standpoint, I was actually pleased with the outcome, the effort in the second half, allowing Atlanta to 52 points compared to the 80 in the first half. I thought that was great. But on the other hand, now the Jazz, we all know that they have put a major emphasis on defense to start this year. And we haven't seen meaningful improvement to this point in that area in terms of the numbers. The Jazz are still allowing a tremendous number of points to be scored. Their defensive field goal percentages aren't terrific in terms of both three-pointers and the overall field goal percentage. They're not creating a bunch of turnovers. So there's a lot of areas that can improve a lot. And this doesn't come down to one player. This is for the Jazz to improve meaningfully on the defensive end, it's a collective effort, and it's multiple players. But one of the things I think the Jazz can do, and quite frankly, the easiest thing for the Jazz to do initially, is to go and try some different lineups. That's the simplest thing that Will Hardy can change in the near term. He doesn't have to go through and teach guys different schemes or do any of that. What he can do is try different lineups. And one of the things that I contend, and I'll argue, is that I think it would help tremendously if the Jazz had a different defensive mindset to start games, and hope that carries over throughout the games. So a different defensive mindset, in my idea, in my opinion, is I think you start that at the point of attack, out front at the top, with more aggressive play, more intensity, more physicality at the point of attack. And I think that's what they should do. Now, the Jazz could change a number of players in the lineup and go a number of different directions and try different things. And I think that Will Hardy actually will, at some point throughout this season, do that. But I think the first change that they should make is, I think that Isaiah Collier should be in the starting lineup again, like he was to finish last season. Place him back into the starting lineup. Of the 3 point guards on the Jazz roster, Keontae, Walt, and Isaiah is the best equipped to play physical, intense defense, and he slides his feet better than the other two guys. Clearly, he slides his feet better than the other two guys, and he's more willing to get into guys better than the other two guys, at least at this point. I mean, Keontae is an improving defensive player, and Walt is just starting, and he has a lot of improvement to do. So I think Isaiah is the answer there. Will it work from a team standpoint? Now, this isn't just about one guy. Will it work from a team standpoint? That's to be debated, and it's to see. I mean, I'm not sure if it's going to make meaningful improvement to insert Isaiah into the lineup, but I think it's worth a shot. And then bring Keontae off the bench, and then bring Keontae, when he does enter the game, he can even enter the game beside Isaiah, play beside Isaiah, so he doesn't have to be on the ball in terms of running the offense. He can play off the ball when he enters the game. And I think that, too, would help Keontae. So he doesn't have to worry about running the team. He can just worry about his own offense more so than, getting the team into plays and initiating the offense. I think that Isaiah is certainly better in that area, too. So that would be my preference, is that's what they try next. That's what Will Hardy tries next. Insert Isaiah back into the lineup, see if they can get off to a better start defensively with a different mentality, more physicality, intensity, and see if that carries over throughout the game more so than what we've been seeing so far this season. Now, that's not the only issue with the defense. Certainly, there were all sorts of issues tonight. There were all sorts of open looks from the perimeter. We know Nurkic is not the defensive presence that Walker is. And Nurkic is not a terrific defensive player. Nurkic's strength is running offense from the top of the key with all the handoffs and the passes and everything. That's his strength as a basketball player right now. He's not a shot blocker. He doesn't have tremendous lift. He struggles to get from the paint out to the perimeter to contest shot, or even when there's a pick and roll, he struggles to slide his feet and make some sort of a difference on the defensive end. So we have that to contend with. And it's not anything against Nurkic either. I don't think that he's absolutely dogging it. He just doesn't have the physical tools to be great. So we are definitely missing Walker, because Walker was better on the perimeter and in the paint defensively than Nurkic is. So that's definitely a problem that isn't easily corrected. And quite frankly, the Jazz just aren't blessed with a bunch of players that have great physical defensive tools at this point. I mean, I think Kyle played a good game tonight. He blocked 3 shots in this game. I mean, he had a good game offensively, but defensively, I thought he tried. But there were a couple times where he was just straight line. I mean, his guys were just blew by him a couple times. And one of the times, he just reached out and just grabbed the guy as he was going by him from the top of the key down the lane, and he was right beside Kyle right before he went right by him, and Kyle just reached out and grabbed him. And actually, in that instance, I'm glad that Kyle did what he did and just grabbed him and fouled him. That's better than just letting him go on a straight line drive to the basket. Just do something to prevent that, at least, from those straight line drives to the basket. And I honestly, I wouldn't care which player it is. If you're getting just blown by somebody, just do something to stop that drive to the basket. It's imperative that the Jazz do something about those straight line drives to the basket. So I'm glad in that instance that Kyle did that. And I thought Kyle's effort on the defensive end tonight was really good. I thought it was really good. He's going to struggle at times trying to prevent those quicker players from getting by him when he's trying to guard him out on the perimeter. And that one instance that I just mentioned is one of those times that happened, at least in this game. But Kyle's 3 block shots, that's tremendous. I doubt that he's had a game with more than 3 blocks in a game so far as an NBA career. So in Kyle, Kyle's one of those guys that I think that he really desperately wants to be better, and he wants to do whatever it takes within his physical. If he can maximize his physical abilities, I think that'll be good enough to where he can play. Can he play 35 minutes if he does that? I'm not sure about that. But I think he can play a meaningful role on a really good team if he maximizes his physical abilities on the defensive end. And I think he's trying to do that. So I commend Kyle for that. But overall, like I said, I just think that they should try Isaiah and see if that helps. Now, if that isn't the solution to all the Jazz problem on the defensive end, it's not even close. There's no way to just immediately solve all those problems. It's a work in progress. We're trying to get better. We're trying to improve. It's improvement over time. But I think the one thing that Will Hardy has at his disposal that's the easiest thing to do and the quickest thing to do is just try different lineups. And this isn't the only thing I'm sure he's going to try. He's going to try other things throughout the season. But this one is one that I would be an advocate for. I'd like to see it and see what happens. Just put Isaiah in, bring Keontae off the bench like at the end of last year, and see what happens with that lineup. But anyway, so let's talk about some interesting factors from the NBA as a whole. Now that we talked about the Jazz in this game, and the Jazz overall, you know my feelings on that. I thought that they fought hard in this game. They ended up with the loss, but they made it competitive down the stretch, and I think that that's sufficient for this particular game, considering how much they struggled in the first half with the 80 points for Atlanta. And mind you, this is an Atlanta team playing without Trae Young. Trae Young is the typical orchestrator of that offense. Trae Young's not a terrific defensive player, but he's competent on the offensive end at orchestrating an offense. And even without Trae Young playing in this game, they were still able to score 80 points in that first half. So that's another factor in this too that needs to be considered. So anyway, well, there are also some interesting NBA stats that I would like to throw out there that have some relevance to the Utah Jazz. And so I want to take you to this really interesting that I came across in terms of the number of three-pointers made so far this year in the entire NBA. So I'm going to, and this is three-pointers made in the aggregate. This isn't an average. So this is a total of three-pointers made going into tonight, I believe. So we're not talking about averages whatsoever. This is just the aggregate of each of these players, how many they've made to this point in the season. So each player has played a different number of games, and so it's not taking into account the average at all. It's just total number made. So Grayson Allen on this list, Grayson Allen is number one in the entire NBA in three-pointers made going into tonight with 51 threes made so far this season. Number two on that list, Donovan Mitchell at 44 three-pointers made this season. Number three on this list, Royce O'Neal at 44 threes made on the season. Number four on this list is also 44 threes, and that's Tyrese Maxey. So this is the first non-former Jazz player that we're listing. The top three, all former Jazz players. Number five on this list is Lauri Markkanen at 43 three-pointers made this season. So that is wild. One of them, Lauri, is a current player, and then the top three out of the top four, but the top three are all former Jazz players. Now, look how much three-point shooting the Jazz had on their roster previously, guys who are now playing elsewhere. That is a tremendous amount of three-point shooting that we see playing elsewhere at this point. And those guys are off to an absolutely amazing start. I mean, look at these. I mean, Steph is number 6 on this list behind Lauri, but look at the percentages of these top guys, of their three-point field goal percentage. Grayson Allen is shooting nearly 45%. Donovan Mitchell is shooting 39%. Royce O'Neal is shooting 45.4. Tyrese Maxey, 44.4. Lowry, 39.4. And then after that, it's Steph Curry at 36.9. But I mean, those guys, not only are they taking a considerable number of threes, they are making a considerable number of threes at a really high percentage. And that shows you that their shot selection and the quality of threes that they're getting is really high. Otherwise, they would not be shooting these 40 plus percentages for 3 of these guys. I mean, unbelievable shooting by those guys, and unbelievable shooting by former Jazz players. So those are interesting numbers. And to even take this further, there's tied for 8th on this list is our old friend Sam Merrill, bountiful native Sam Merrill, former Utah State player Sam Merrill. So another guy with obviously significant Utah ties, Sam Merrill, is on this list. I mean, unbelievable, all the Utah ties on that list of the top guys in three-pointers made so far this season. So there's another some other stats I want to throw out that are really interesting, and that's in the point differential, in the plus-minus point differential area. Now, so far this season, we played 11, 12, 13 games, depending on which team. We are seeing some crazy plus-minus. I mean, Oklahoma City to this point, they've played 13 games. They are plus 15.5 points per game over their opponents. Denver Nuggets, they've played 11 games. They are plus 13.3. Houston Rockets, they've played 10 games, plus 11. So even getting a number in double digits in that plus-minus differential is, to have any teams in that are that high in the plus differential. Now, this is called clearly early in the season, and we're not going to have 3 teams end with a double-digit plus-minus. I mean, that would be absolutely wild. I mean, OKC last year was number 1 in history at like 12 point something points per game in the plus minus. So we're not going to finish with three teams in double digits plus minus. But to see that at this point in the season even is quite frankly alarming. I mean, OKC at 15.5, Denver at 13.3, Houston at 11. I mean, those are huge numbers. But then what's even more alarming is we look at the bottom of this scale. The bottom of this scale. I mean, this is wild. Look at the numbers. 30th on this list. Washington Wizards minus 16.2 in point differential. Brooklyn Nets minus 15. Indiana Pacers minus 14.2. New Orleans Pelicans minus 12.8. Sacramento Kings minus 11.1. I mean, to see 5 teams at this point in the season with double-digit negative plus-minus is just crazy. I mean, if you look historically over what this plus-minus was historically in the NBA at the end of seasons over the last, say, 40 years, and then you look at these numbers are concerning. So let's hope, because what these numbers mean is there are a ton of just absolutely blowout games, just crazy blowouts. That's what this indicates. And so I sincerely hope that these numbers come closer together, because we do not want to end the season with with several teams up top with double digits plus minus, and several teams at the bottom with double digit negative plus minus, because that is not good for the NBA. That means there are a bunch of non-competitive games that are just, quite frankly, difficult to watch, especially down the stretch. It means they're probably out of hand far before they get into the fourth quarter, and this is just bad for the NBA. So I hope that Adam Silver still addresses the whole tanking thing. I don't think any of us want to see that. It's it just goes against all sorts of competitiveness, competitive nature. The interest of the fans is certainly harmed, and we don't want to see that. I don't think any of us want to see that. We want to see teams actually trying to win games. So let's see what happens with this. But those are interesting numbers. At this point in the season, yes, we're only 1/8, 1/7 away into the season, but still, looking at that, those numbers at this point, those are some crazy numbers. They really are. But anyway, I think that that's all we have for tonight in terms of what we really want to talk about with this Jazz game. And quite frankly, I was happy watching the game down the stretch because it was competitive. And so I think we can all be satisfied with that. Yeah, we want the Jazz to play better defense. We all want the Jazz to play better defense, because for the Jazz to be good, guess what? They need to play vastly better defense. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, for those watching on YouTube, please like, share, and subscribe. And you can also follow us on X at JazzSmack. And we will talk to everybody later.